Next, I'm going to introduce Ovie Ofugara, Head of Content, Not Just OK, and Music Consultant. And also join me in welcoming Brian Soko, Zimbabwean Grammy Award winner, producer. Move on to Maduku Chinwa, another Grammy Award winning producer and songwriter. And next, I'm going to introduce Anderson Obiagu, CEO of Afrimma and Entertainment Chief Executive. Our next panelist is Rudy Mutombo, business entrepreneur, coach, and philanthropist. Welcome, Rudy. So we still have Kafi coming on our way, but we'll get started before she gets here. The topic this year is This is Africa, how music and fashion are leading the world to Africa. There has never been a better time to be African than now. It seems like Africa is in vogue for everyone. And we are here to discuss about how we can make it better, what are the gains we've got from it, and how we can further cross boundaries with music. I'm going to go ahead and start with Ovie. And the first subtopic is talking about Africa being recognized on the main stage at the BET Awards. Do you think this will open the doors for other international awards like the Grammys?
So to your question about African artists being recognized on stage, it's a good look, no doubt about that. We don't absolutely need the validation of Western awards. We don't absolutely need it, but it's definitely a good look because we're trying to take the music to the whole world, right? There's this slogan, Africa to the world, that most artists use now. So it's a good look, it's not absolutely necessary. And as far as Grammys, the Grammy goes, it will be important for us to have an Afrobeats category down the line, or not just necessarily Afrobeats, it could be any of the other genres. Hopefully with time, we may end up performing at these awards where we can have our own categories. But like I said, it's not the be-all, end-all, but it's a good look.
Okay. Victoria, as an artist yourself, I'd like you to say something to that. What do you think?
I agree with him. You know, it's definitely a good look. I think the more we continue to celebrate ourselves, like the way we are here with Afrimma, we take away, you know, that much more need to be recognized by these guys. But it's definitely important because it spreads the culture out to a wider audience. And I mean, again, with the BETs, it's black entertainment. And, you know, we're definitely the blackest of the black. So it's like, why not? You know? So, I mean, it's a good look, and everyone has to have that crossover thing. And when I think about like dance hall music, there's only, what, 2 million people in Jamaica? Yeah. And look how the impact of dance hall music has happened worldwide.
I'll come to you, Anderson. What would you like to add to that, being an investor in the entertainment industry?
I think it's a big win for Africa. At the end of the day, the reason why we started Afrimma was just seeing our big artists, because I've been doing promotion in America for over 10 years, bringing out the biggest names in Africa and doing tours here in America with them. And I understand their talent, their level of talent. And then when they come out here, they fly out here, they're so excited to go to BET Awards. And then you're watching BET, you don't even see them on TV. So we decided to create a platform to celebrate our own. That's why Afrimma is more like for us by us. So, and why I said it's a big win for Africa that, you know, they presented that category that Davido won this year on that platform is, just think about the media exposure. Just imagine the number of media at BET Awards. So it's definitely a win for Africa.
Thank you again for this. I'll have to agree with BET on this one. I've also spent a little bit of years in the entertainment business, bringing people over here from overseas, mainly in the French-speaking countries like Ivory Coast and Congo. Africa is the roots of everything and is also the future of everything. Okay, in the business standpoint, that's where the money is going to be tomorrow. You know, so this is only good for us. It's good for artists, African artists. It means that it's going to be more money for us. Look at the way the streaming are going. It's generating more money. We need to be seen. We need all of them to buy from us.
Thank you. As somebody who is really, really passionate about crossing boundaries with music, we see African artists selling out venues in America and Europe. Would you say African music is finally starting to cross boundaries?
I think we're just getting started. We haven't gotten there yet. I mean, it's going to take a while. I mean, but I'm definitely, I definitely believe like, we're going towards the right direction. It's not, there's no way we're going to start selling out like AT&T Stadium. It's not going to happen anytime soon, but I think it's gonna happen one day, but not anytime soon. Look at it like this: in Europe, especially in London, when they have concerts, Davido just sold out a 10,000 capacity venue. Where are you gonna get 10,000 Africans in Dallas? Just driving from Dallas to Houston, it's about 4 hours drive. But the proximity, everything is just right there in London, in Europe. So the train from Paris to London is 2 hours. I think it's 2 hours, right? So I like, when we started bringing African artists to America and doing tours, we've been to shows where we had 10 people. I can never forget that show in Philly. We got the promoter paid $5,000, and then you get in there, it's only 10 people. Like, how is this possible? You understand? And people, we are talking about it on Facebook, then we didn't have Instagram and the rest of them. So on Facebook, it was buzzing on Facebook. We got there, everybody was at work, nobody came out to see. But right now, I'm happy that now we can have shows in Dallas, for instance, and you get 1,000 people to come out. The culture is growing.
Ovie, do you think African music can really cross into the mainstream American music industry?
You know, this question is it's tough because we want to believe it can, right? Because like someone said, Jamaicans, there's like 2 million of them, but the dancehall reggae has really cut across. They have, #1 singles over the years, Sean Paul and the rest. So, and we have a large community out here. You'd want to believe that African music can be streamed in millions and millions of numbers to be able to get to that #1 spot, or at least to be on the chart. And the more it grows, the more people will accept it. Because at the end of the day, it's all about acceptance. If we can get the music in the clubs, we can get the music on the radio, no doubt. Wizkid, through Drake, of course, he got to #1. So you just never know. With time, with more collaborations and stuff, I think our music can get there, without a doubt.
Maduku, you're somebody that's worked for over 30 years in the American music industry as well as other music industry. What do you think African artists need to do to really cross boundaries in music?
More of what we're doing now, and that is giving credit for the origins or the backbeat to the songs that are on the radio now. That's the question about how it will be, how and when it will happen, when it will get big. I believe it already has, it just doesn't have a face yet, and that's our job. Because I can hear its influence already. I see it in film, I see the pop stars who are already on it, and after that, it's just a matter of time.
Okay. Brian, this one goes to you. Do you think African artists have to do the work in Africa, or they have to come here to do the work?
I think it doesn't really matter where exactly they do the work, it's just how it's marketed. I think that's really what matters, and that's what a lot of the artists here have, is they have that structure and that marketing. So someone can do a very similar song and it'll get marketed better here than they'll get credit for it. Which is the same way how we've been, like the Afro beat has been buzzing for a while, a long time, but then it took for someone like Drake to come and sample that, and then the whole world all of a sudden thinks like it's a new thing. But that's because the marketing was there and he had the platform and all of that. So I think African artists, we're very global, we travel a lot, So I think I think everyone's moving the right way. They're traveling a lot, going to Europe, doing features and all of that. So I think where you do the work is not really important, it's how you market it.
Victoria, as an artist, what do you think about this?
See, I really believe, because just like what you were saying, the culture, I'm seeing a lot of the influence, between music and in fashion, and foreign artists and foreign designers. And I'll use an example of, we have a bag in Kenya called the kiondo. It's hand woven and it's beautiful. And someone saw it in Harrods in the UK for like $2,000. So for me, it's important to for us to take ownership of our sound, of our vibe, of our fashion, because someone else is waiting to steal our ideas. I mean, Victoria's Secret did a whole Masai collection last year, and it's just kind of crazy to watch it on the sideline. So as much as, the marketing is important, but I think African artists need to show up when we're doing BET Awards here, and if you're nominated, show up to the red carpet. And even if you're not nominated, so many American artists go and show their face and make themselves known, and they're not even nominated. Last year I went to the BET Awards. There was a radio room, and every urban radio station in America was in one room. And I didn't see David. I didn't see any of the African nominees. And I'm like, why not take advantage of what's given to you? And so for us, for me, it's about taking ownership and showing up, and letting them know, look, this is me. This is our sound, and no one's gonna just kind of come in and take it from us. That's how I feel.
Thank you. Rudy, do you think African music is going to cross boundaries?
To answer your question, yes, I think so. I think it's not going to be accidental. It's going to have to be planned and done in a strategic way. We need to look around and see the artists that are doing better than the others, and encourage the ones that are coming behind to do more of the success, or don't try to reinvent the wheel. Do what works and stop doing what doesn't work. So I encourage other artists to do more of what you see people like Fally Ipupa's doing. Featuring with other big artists, especially American artists, does work and it helps. If we encourage our other artists to do the same thing and we help them do that, I'm sure we'll get there.
The African music industry is a multi-million-dollar industry, but the government doesn't seem to see it the same way. There's little or no government investment in African music. What do you think we can do to change this, Victoria?
Taking the time to try and speak to our leaders, signing petitions. I mean, I know sometimes the arts and the creative side really gets ignored back home. So if you can, bring the youth together and create a voice that just can't be ignored, and try to take it to your leaders, and even if it's the local MPs in your area. And for me, one law that I wish existed back home in Kenya is, I wish that it could be 75% mandatory local content to be played on the radio, and that would encourage people to, first of all, know more about the music that artists are putting out, and not shut them out so much. So I think if certain laws are in place, but again, I know it's hard to reach some of these powerful people, but if you can just involve the youth in your community and try and create a voice that just can't be ignored.
Yeah, I think I can agree, most governments take action based on they're incentivized by money. And the money in music, this side, most of the money is in publishing. In Africa, we don't have a system set up in music publishing. And I can tell you firsthand is that even in South Africa, where they've put up to 70% local content, something like that, they still don't pay out the money to local acts. Because I've done a song in South Africa that went #1 and didn't receive any publishing money. And I've done a song for, say, Lil Wayne that was played in South Africa, here and there, and I've received checks for that. So what they're doing is they're taking the radio money and they're paying foreign artists, and they're not paying local artists. So I'm thinking, how do I have a song with a local artist here that's killing the charts, and then I start a song with the foreign artist, but then I get my check in LA for that. So I feel like a lot of African, the radio, the way it's set up, they pay royalties out to foreign artists so they can license foreign music, but they don't put a value on local music, so they don't pay publishing out. But once we sort out publishing, then the governments will want to get more involved, because then they can see that that's where the money is.
Obi, if you had the chance to talk to maybe a president of an African country with the kind of business you do, what would be your advice to him?
Well, personally, I'm not a very big fan of government interference, to be honest. Because with government funding comes government interference, and we know how it goes. And also, we don't have a real structure in the music industry in Africa. So even if the government decides to pump money into it, it's only going to go to a few hands, right? Look at even other organizations like COSAM, for example, Copyright Society of Nigeria. They were, at some point, were collecting royalties from radio stations and what have you to distribute to artists. But it so happened that they ended up distributing those things to their friends. Right? So the people who were really getting the most airplays weren't getting any money. And the air bombs, the bosses, the big stars, or should I say the legends, were getting way more money than the new guys who really have hot songs on the radio. So even if we get that kind of funding, we just don't have the structure. I feel like we should focus on the structure first, publishing and what have you, so that we know that if money is coming in, for example, for any reason, if money is coming in, we know where the money is going, we know that it will be used for the right thing. Right now, any form of government interference is just the government paying money to a few people to just get richer than the others.
Anderson, do you think the government should interfere in African music more now, or are you on the VS side?
No, I feel like the government is sleeping on the arts industry, period. Like, there are so many talents in Africa. We run the magazine, the African Music Magazine. We get tons of artists from Africa sending us music. You listen to most of them, you can't listen to all of them. Tons of talents out there. Imagine if we had maybe 50 flavors in one small community. Those 50 flavors will now do what? Give employment to another 100 to 1,000 people. That's the problem we have in Africa. The government doesn't believe in music. Remember when we were growing up, you dare not tell your parents you want to be a musician. I mean, it's the truth. It's still the way it is today. But look at people like, I always use Flavor as an example because I groomed, like pretty much groomed him before he became really big. So look at the kind of money he's making now. He goes to one show in Africa for $60,000, and all that money is being spent in Nigeria. They just spend just a little fraction of it overseas. But we are worried about the oil. We dying and clean ourselves about the oil in Nigeria. Where these young talents can bring all that money back to Nigeria. So I feel like the government should pretty much establish institutions, music institutions, harness talents, give them scholarships just to push to push that music outside of Africa. I mean, we were talking about, the musicians coming together. In Africa, the musicians they don't even have a solid union. In Nigeria, for instance, they have P-Man, they have Kosan. Every time you go in the paper, they are fighting. It's either the CEO or the president stole their money, or they're always in court. So at the end of the day, if you're not united, how can you fight? So first of all, the artists, they all need to come together, unite, have a united front, and they cannot go to the government and say, hey, this is what we want. Because what the government uses them for is politics. When it comes time for election, they now use them to campaign, to tap into their fan base. That's what they do. They use them, as soon as they win, they drop them. So the cycle will continue till the artists come together and say, no, we can't take this anymore.
Rudy, as a businessman, do you think the government should invest in African music as it is?
I think so, yes. But again, I think we need to give them a reason to be interested in the musical industry. Nigeria, I'll say for the past 10 years or a little bit more, Nigeria has been leading the African artists or music market in Africa. Before that, it used to be countries like Ivory Coast or the Congo. From the Congo, so I'll speak for Congolese people. They, after multiple tries to get the government involved into helping them, what they ended up doing is going to the private sector. It's the way to go. The government is busy. The private sector is looking to get their name known, and they have funding, they have money available to help artists, local and international. I'll encourage our people to do the same thing.
What do you think is bringing this new wave of Afro wokeness, as I like to call it?
Those things used to be taboo from what I remember. And for those of you who don't know, I worked on Erykah Badu's first album, Baduism. Some of our people in our culture from here were seeing those symbols for the first time. And though some of it was authentic, some people were seeing these symbols for the first time. And a new sense of pride because it could be connected to an artist who was an educated person And I believe that that's when it started. Yes, it is very popular right now, even for people who don't look like us to have those things there. But this is a wonderful time. I was born here in the States. My father was born in Nigeria, and it's cool to see people actually learning how to pronounce my name or wanting to know more about my culture. So I do everything I can to make it hip, but I'm still being educated about my own people, like so many African Americans.
Ovie, what do you think is responsible for this new wave of the Africanism that we find in
I believe
Africa represents newness, right? A lot of the sound, a lot of the styles, fashion in America and the Western world is pretty much getting recycled. Okay, so when you look at Africa, you see new dance styles, you see things that you typically don't see in America. So fresh, absolutely fresh. So that's what's going on. They want that new sound. Many of the producers are looking for the next big sound. You know, the fashion folks are looking for the next big style. And all of that, Africa represents that untapped market. So that is why they're coming. You know, as much as we are trying to go to them, they also want to come to us. So we're just waiting for that point where we meet up and everything just connects. So you will see, moving forward, you will see more and more of our influence in American music, in Western music. Look at in the UK, for example, UK urban music, Afrobeats has taken over. You know, so more of their rappers are featuring Afrobeat singers on their hooks and stuff. So yes, we are, because we represent that new sound, like I said, and you'll be seeing more and more of that trend moving forward.
Okay. Brian, as a producer, do you think African music elements has something distinct to it?
Yeah, I think it definitely does, especially rhythmically. It definitely does, and it's always had that influence on the culture. But I think now it's just everyone is trying to get on the train and everything like that. So everyone's trying to do it, and even sometimes though it does sound kind of like when Western artists do it, it sounds kind of, I mean, it doesn't sound organic to me personally. You know what I mean? But at least I know, as long as they're trying to acknowledge the culture, is cool. But I also think with your last question, I think the internet really helped with getting African music and culture and all of that out here. Because like I moved here maybe 14, 15 years ago, and I was really young, and then I kind of lost touch a little bit with the music and the new stuff because I wasn't back home. Then maybe 2010, 2011, like on the internet, I started finding Davido and, you know what I mean? Then I, like almost like it followed me here. I think the internet really helped with that.
I'll go over to Anderson now. Do you think the movie Wakanda played a part in this new way?
It definitely played a part, but I fell asleep. I fell asleep in the movie. I'm watching the movie. I'm being honest. Like someone that spent over 24 years in Africa, it's like someone telling me my story. So it's not. It just didn't click with me. There's a disconnect somewhere. It was just, to me. I didn't honestly. I'm sorry. I didn't like the movie. I'm not a big fan of the movie because at the end of the day, no, seriously. That's my own personal opinion. At the end of the day, they told our story, messed up our story, made billions of dollars out of it. How many of it is going to Africa? None. Zero. So why should I support it? Why should I be proud of it?
I like that. But I said it earlier, Africa is the root of everything and it's the future of everything. Okay? And that's why we're seeing more and more westernized artists are trying to do a little bit of African in everything that they're doing. Why? They're looking at the market, they're looking at the African markets. In a few years, we're gonna be the biggest buyer markets on earth. Amen. So that's what they're doing. Slowly, they're targeting the African markets the same way we're targeting the American markets. But they're getting more out of it than we are. Why? Because they're using statistics and they're doing it in a strategic manner. You know, they sold Wakanda like I was excited to go watch the movie. Yeah, so we really need to do more of the things that work and less of what doesn't work, you know. Just see what successful people are doing and try to do the same thing. We can do the same thing in Africa. We need to stop trying to reinvent the wheel. You know, Nigeria today is the #1 country in Africa, and I think the other countries need to kind of see what they're doing right and try to do the same, more of the same thing. You know, so good job, Nigerians.
I got my own microphone.
In a long time that made people like want to be associated with Africa. I mean, Black Americans, you know, it's unfortunate. We have to have some sympathy for people who don't know exactly where they come from. So if this is something that makes them feel proud, you know, so be it. Yeah, we didn't make money on the whole thing, but I mean, we have other movies that we're doing too that we can support at the end of the day. But like when I come back in from the airport and I tell them where I'm coming from, they're always like, oh, Wakanda! Like that's their moment of feeling like united. And it's kind of cheesy, I know. It's cheesy, but like let them have that, you know? I don't know, I think it was good, and I think it's a positive. Anything that can remind, you know, Africans and Black Americans or other Black people in the diaspora who they are, or reconnect them somehow back to our roots, and who would have known that a movie like Wakanda could be like the conduit and something that could connect us back again, you know? So those are just beginning steps, in my opinion. I'm thinking Wakanda out of this, man.
Just adding to what she said, representation matters. You know, we've always seen white superheroes from other cultures. We needed a Black superhero. We just needed one. I don't care how it went, who made all the money. We just want kids to look forward to a Black superhero growing up. I want to be Black Panther. You know, everyone wants to be Superman, and you think Superman is a white guy. In fact, we think Jesus is white. You know, that's crazy. I mean, Jesus is not white. So representation matters. So that's why I feel like even if we didn't make any money, Black Panther.
We made money. Lupita was there. She's from Kenya. She made money for us.
Exactly.
So I don't know what you're talking about.
So yeah, so that's we're saying the same thing. Representation matters.
It also showed the power of when Black people come together and put their money like where their mouth is. And I don't know how much they sold, but I know it was pretty incredible. I mean, I think that's a movement on its own. Millions. Billions. Yeah, like that's an accomplishment, big A.
Really, how do you think African music, fashion, Africa as a whole can consolidate on the kind of exposure and awareness that Wakanda brought to the continent?
The Wakanda wave was good, but I think that should be an eye-opener for us Africans, because I don't think anyone can sell you better than yourself, okay? And it's always African Americans, it's always white people that are trying to sell Africa their way. I think it's time for us Africans to actually wake up and sell it the way we want it to be sold, you know? When I watch African movies, when I go online and just want to visit, like if I go online and just say South Africa, like nobody represents South Africa. All those beautiful cities in South Africa, you never see them here being advertised. The goal is we have a beautiful continent, we have beautiful countries, we have beautiful people. We have to sell it in a way where it attracts investors, it attracts people to want to do more with Africans. The way we're being sold right now, it's scaring people away from Africa. The US is a safe ground, African is not so safe. You know, even the Wakanda movie, I'm sorry, it did represent Africa in a way where it's still not a safe ground, you know. And have you guys heard of this movie, Rich African? There's an African guy that, you heard of it? So people like that, we need to encourage them. And anybody here heard of the African movie, the Rich African movie?
Yes.
Yes? How many people? Not a lot, right? But Wakanda, everybody heard of it, you know. So we need to support our own, and we need to just wake up and represent and sell Africa the way we want it to be represented. You know?
Okay, I'll move over to Anderson. How do you think Africa can better tell her story through music and fashion, and through the various stakeholders, the artists, the fashion designers, the movie makers?
Yeah, I think they're really doing a good job at that. I mean, the artists Now, back in the days, most of the artists, they don't worry about their image so much. They want to be like the Americans. They want to dress like the Americans. They want to, but now you can see an artist, an African artist, get on stage with dashiki, and he's proud of it, and he's repping it real hard. I mean, I think Pat Rankin just opened up for Lauryn Hill on tour in Dallas. I watched it on Snapchat, and he had a beautiful African outfit. So now it's left for us to keep pushing. But it's not. We're still gonna get there, but nobody's gonna represent us more than we can represent ourselves. Wakanda is gone. It's gone. It's over. Let's now see what we can do, what we can make, how much we can make, or how much we can tap, from into that exposure. Look at this year. We have a fashion show tomorrow. Okay, it's gonna be amazing. I'm telling you, without Wakanda, let's just be honest. Without Wakanda, nobody would have paid attention. Now we started promoting it, sponsors, everybody, even the award show, they don't even see it as something appealing to them. But music, fashion, everybody wears, everybody wears clothes. So now the sponsors out there, they find the fashion show more appealing because now they saw it on Wakanda movie. So that's what I'm saying. Like, let's find a way. Yes, let's find a way to tap into those, the exposure that Wakanda gave Africa positively.
Okay, I'll come to this. How do you think we can consolidate on the exposure from Wakanda and the fallout of everything?
Well, in the movie Black Panther, so in the movie Black Panther, right? Definitely there's a lot of, on the downside, yes, the accents were all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
No doubt about that. I mean, one second I think I'm hearing West Africa, and the next I'm hearing some guy from Nigeria.
Right.
So it was all over the place, but no doubt, during the movie premiere, people were wearing dashikis, like you said, people were wearing. It made people proud to associate themselves with African fashion. No doubt about that. And then the music, they played this Gwara Gwara song.
Destruction Boys.
Destruction Boys, yeah, exactly. So at least that gave the music and the fashion some exposure. No matter what, even if it wasn't too accurate, but it gave us some of it. So if we can build on that, right? Yes, people don't want to do the whole Wakanda thing, but if that is what is giving us an in, we might as well take it. So we shouldn't really look at the whole Black Panther Wakanda thing as just an American interpretation of Africa. At least it's making them look at Africa, so we should use that. And I feel like going forward, if we can have more movies, if we can have more fashion shows and try to push them mainstream, sell it to these people that it's cool to dress African. It's cool to sound African. We have a lot of Africans here that, when you talk, they're like, oh, it's FOB or fresh off the boat and stuff like that. And everyone's trying to sound American. No, it's cool to sound African. It's cool to look African. It's cool to be African. So we need to make sure we sell it that way moving forward. And you just never know how far we can go.
I'll call Victoria real quick. You released the EP written Afropolitan. Was that an attempt to sell your Africanness as well?
No, actually, not necessarily. I don't feel like I need to sell my Africanness. You know what I'm saying? I called it Afropolitan because I'm a first generation in my family that was born in America. I moved back to Kenya 6 years ago. My parents had come to America to go to school and, seek higher education and what they're trying to do, or what they're doing now. Now they have an orphanage and a church and they're doing their thing back home. But as a first generation, I was exposed to a lot of things that a typical child, back in Kenya was not exposed to. For instance, we didn't have school uniforms, so we were allowed to express ourselves with whatever we wanted to wear in our school, and the school system is totally different here. So I consider myself metropolitan, but at the same time, as I was here, I can't escape from my name, the food I ate at home. I'm still I'm too African to be American, but sometimes when I go back home, I'm too American to be African. So I don't really care how anyone defines me. I know where my blood comes from, and so when I put Afropolitan the EP together, it really is a reflection of my upbringing as well as my culture. That's why I call it.
I'm gonna fire at you straight away.
No problem. I'm prepared.
What do you have to say to the observation you made?
Yeah, I'm gonna come also from my point of view because we also started in an industry. I started in an industry that doesn't exist. So I'm gonna address your question from the angle of persistence. Is really, really important if you really want to get anywhere. You just need to be consistent, persistent, and diligent at what you do. Also, whatever you want to become should be treated with the same seriousness of what you have seen or where you have seen yourself. The business of, I'll say business of music, dance, or whatever, there's a word business before it. If you want to promote yourself, present yourself, or propose yourself to anybody to consider you, you need to treat it just the way you're treating your job application. You understand? You won't say because you're an artist, you should dress anyhow to present. I'm an artist, so I should be shabby or whatever. Because it's art doesn't mean there is no structure to how art is presented. So I think it's very important that you have that at the back of your head. And never say never to yourself. Like me, I came into the dance industry because my industry is dependent on the entertainment industry flourishing, but it will not be given any form of consideration if I didn't create some level of importance to what I am doing. And how did I do that? Value. I am bringing value to you. You will also recognize me for that value. So sometimes your business partners or people you are talking to want to see what value are you bringing as an artist to my entertainment business that will make me consider you to be signed. Sometimes we need to look at it from that angle. Thank you.
Of this award, we faced a whole lot of challenges. First of all, you can't pull off an award show of this level out of pocket every year. You look at sponsorship, we struggle with sponsorship every year because they still don't believe in us. They still don't believe in our numbers. Nigeria alone has a population of almost 200 million people. This year, to answer your question, we're going to be streaming the award for the first time this year on Sunday. It's going to be streamed live to everybody all over the world. And we're still a work in progress. The job I want you guys to help us do is reach out to those corporations that you have relationships with. Tell them, we every year we spend a lot of money in marketing. We've hired the best agencies to go to help us tell our stories because they will not open their doors when they see our faces. It's the truth. So we pay somebody that looks like them to go tell our stories. And then at the end of the day, they go there to pitch you, the one that's going to end up telling the stories, because they still don't get it. They still don't get it. So we're still a work in progress. It's the 5th year. Last year, the House of Blood, we sold it out. This year, I know we're going to celebrate again. Tomorrow is our very first, our second edition of our fashion show. Afrimma is here to stay. It's for us, by us. At the end of the day, if Africans, you can't tell me that we cannot fill out, Africans in Dallas can't fill out this room. There's anybody that lives in Dallas that's African. If you don't know about Afrimma, that means you live in a cave. It's the truth. It's the gospel truth. We are everywhere. We've been pushing that even on that buses. We spend a lot of money. 50% of our budget goes to marketing. But at the end of the day, like I said, if they don't help us, we have to help each other. It's just as simple as that. For instance, our most expensive ticket is about $150. But our people, our color, they pay $500 to go see Beyonce. And they don't complain about it. Right. But you coming out here, you've seen these wonderful talents that you see on TV, on YouTube. This lady right here, she's a Guinness Book of World Record holder. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Look at Grammy Award producers. Maduku produced Erykah Badu's first album. Brian Soko. She produced for Lil Wayne. He produced for Lil Wayne. He produced for Jay-Z, Beyonce. Like, we have these people, but somebody's not telling their story. So if we don't start celebrating each other, nobody's going to celebrate us. If we don't support each other, nobody will. I mean, people who come to Afrimma, what they think, oh, Big A, you're making too much money. I've not made a dime from Afrimma. It's the gospel truth. So at the end of the day, and even most of our artists, most of our people, they still don't want to support. You call an artist, say, come to Afrimma, oh, how much are you going to pay me? Are you crazy? Like, I'm going to pay you to honor you. What a dumb, like, we still have that slavery mentality. We still have that slavery mentality. So when they don't give them nominations at the Grammys, they complain and whine about it. Now you have a platform that you can help sell. You have a platform that you can embrace and call your own. And somebody else, you're waiting for somebody else to support you. It's crazy. It's that slavery mentality. We have to get rid of it first before we can move further. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have one last question for Kafi. Being somebody who is known for dance and all of that, there is this new wave of Africanism that seems to have started from the Wakanda movie, Black Panther. How do you think it has impacted your industry?
When you say impacted my industry, I mean, you mean people dance more now because of Wakanda or what?
It kind of seems cool for people to do African dance after watching Wakanda.
So I think regardless of Wakanda, African dance already was on its way into that large mainstream acceptance. And I think in general, Africa is what has become cool. Because one of the things, when you go into a country or a new culture, one of the first things that actually absorbs you to that culture is food, music, and dance. Really, those three things are like the key, like the gateway to understanding, absorbing, and feeling the cultural essence of any race or any tribe. And for me, I feel that it's, how would I say, it should have been for a long time. Why is it? Why now? So for me, I came here to do my workshop. I call it Afro Dance Expression because I feel that watching from home, having developed the dance industry to a more secure career choice for people, and watching how the trend is going on here, I know for sure that if somebody doesn't come here quickly to help the practicing dancers understand that as much as the passion and the wave is giving you views, if this is the job you want to do, you need to now start understanding that this is what you need to do to sustain yourself in that art. So part of what I'm also doing is also sensitizing and educating and creating more orientation on the deep-rooted culture of the dance they're even doing, so that we don't fade away as a trend. Yes. You understand? There was a time where dance hall was everything. Do you understand? We don't want it to be like that because Africa is bigger than just the sound. That's why I stand corrected by saying, do not ever describe our music as Afrobeat. Afrobeat is one genre. You understand? African music, Afro sound, whatever you want to say. Afro is general enough. Yeah. But saying Afrobeat is Fela Nicola Kaputi, Shehu Kuti, it's Femi Kuti. There's a sound. But in Africa, there's more than just Afrobeat. There's Akpala, there's Fuji Jejuju. Do you understand? There's High Life. There's so much. So we have a lot to do. And as dancers, we are like the communicating. We communicate the essence, the beauty of the culture. And another thing I need people to understand is that dance is an element that adds value to sound, music, and everything else. It should not be relegated as the bottom of the food chain of the entertainment industry when dancers themselves are the reason why you enjoy the artist in the first place. You understand? Imagine all the videos and nobody's there dancing. Just imagine, or on show, just go on show and the artist is just singing, shake up your bum bum. And it's just there, So for me, I stand for the young people practicing this art of dance and saying, with or without Wakanda, we're there, we exist, and we exist beyond Wakanda. And Wakanda is good, but Wakanda doesn't really tell our story totally. It just helps us feel like superheroes. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think African dance is, for a couple of years now, it's been on its way. On its way up. We also own African Music Magazine, which is an online music platform. Most of the videos, if you follow us on social media, on Instagram, most of the videos we post are dance videos. And those are the videos that get the most views. If you post a regular video, it doesn't get no views. And I think the American artists are now beginning to tap into that. You did a dance with what, Sierra? Yes, when she went to Nigeria, and that video went viral. So it's not, Wakanda doesn't have anything to do with Afro dance.
That even for artist music promotions, they've relied so much on the dancers. It's like we're kind of like a cheaper promotional package, you know. And the dancers are keen into it as well. Some are overdoing it because I tell them I'm also a business person. If you want to be promoted for an artist, sometimes are very good. If you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 videos for free, please your next one, please charge the artist. It's promo. He has a promotional budget. You are part of his budget because you are also part of the reason why people. There are some songs that have stuck to my head because I watched one dance video about it, and I'm sure a lot of people can testify that they've liked some song just by watching a child or a dancer put up a video for, which shows that dance is also already kind of like metamorphosizing, like telling the story on its own. That look, we are very much part of this industry. We are also now assisting you sell your music. And once you are becoming a part of the demand and supply chain, you're automatically in business to whatever is controlling the industry, and you're bringing value. Thank you.
All right, to round up this panel, I'm going to have a last word from each of our panelists, starting with Rudy.
Yeah, this is awesome. This is great. This is good for Africans. Like Big A said, I'm gonna encourage all of you guys to, share pictures, be out there on social media, encourage everyone to love Afrimma even more. Don't just speak about it, act on it. We have to sell ourselves better than anyone. This is an opportunity. Afrimma is the next big thing. It could be the next BET even more. We have to all come together and do this. I don't know how many. I guess I'm the only business owner here on the panel, but we have the president of the African Chamber of Commerce here too. But we're gonna do what we have to do to get more local business owners involved into supporting Afrimma. I don't think we're doing enough of that. I just feel like there's more to do, and remember, Africa is the root of all things, and it is also the future of Earth. It's the future of everything. So it is important for us to get involved now. Okay, Big A, good job, man.
Yeah, well, let's listen.
First of all, I want to thank everybody that made our time from their busy schedule to be here. At least it's a sign that we're going in the right direction. But tomorrow we have a fashion show. On Sunday is the award show. Let's not talk about it, let's be about it. I feel like each person here, we can easily bring 10 people to Afrimma on Sunday and to the fashion show tomorrow. Guess what? Since we started Afrimma, everybody that's been to Afrimma locally here, they've always come back because it's something amazing. You have to be there to experience it. It's just what it is. So please, I'm saying, if you don't get anything from this discussion today, let's support each other. If an African is selling something that you need, patronize them. That's why the Chinese community is huge. That's why they keep growing. That's why they're stronger than us. Please, I know we have our own cause as Africans, but we can't give up on Africa. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I just want to say thank you to Big A and his beautiful wife Ify for consistently, bringing Africans together from across the continent. It's not too often we get to be in the same room with one another, so thank you for that, and Wakanda forever.
That's hilarious.
All right. Thank you to Big A. Thank you to the whole African Music Magazine movement. It's good to see how much it's grown over the years. I've come to every single Afrimma award. I've been a part of it as a media partner. I've seen Big A grow the brand. I've seen people helping take it to this point. Now it's bigger than just one man. It's bigger than us, really. It's a movement. So we have to play our part, right? Let's not just sit down and be like, okay, well, I'm just going to show up and do. No, we have to play our part, right? Next year, or actually not even next year, this Sunday, try to bring another African in diaspora out here. When I say African in diaspora, that includes African Americans, because we're all Africans in diaspora. So we have 2 days to invite at least 1 or 2 people to come to the show. Let's celebrate Africa together, right? 2018 is the year that it's cool to be African. It's cool to sound African. It's cool to listen to African music. It's cool to dress African. So we have to run with it. This is the time. Not next year, not 5 years from now. In 2 days, bring somebody to the African Music Magazine Awards. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, Big A, and thank you all for coming out, and thank you all for supporting something that I think is a noble cause and a very necessary thing. I, like so many artists, I'm not the best at self-promotion, but I'm excited because today is the release of even more music that I produced. A representative from Chosen Musicians here in the name of Adrian at the end of the row over there. The song is called Innocence, and the artist is called D&G. So check it out if you will. Thanks.
I just want to say thank you guys for taking the time to come over here and speak with us and everything. Thank you to Big A and Afrimma. This is much needed, and this award is much needed, and I'm honored to be here. I'm excited. And I just want to say, let's keep supporting each other as Africans and as Black people. So tomorrow, if you go to the fashion show, you see a designer, get the information, try to buy something, repost or something like that. Thank you guys. I'll see you on Sunday.
Thank you guys for coming out. And thank you to all the panelists.
First of all, I want to say one of the first award show that actually started recognizing dancers was Afrimma. And they gave me the platform to express, because you have all this talent and nobody's there to see it and say, let's use it. It's useless. So I want to say thank you, Big A. Thank you to your wife, your lovely team. I love the fact that you're one of the most coordinated and organized show in America representing Africa. Because I've been in the industry for 20 years, from next year maybe 20 years. I've been to almost every show, every major event, every production. And I am saying proudly that I'm proud of Afrimma for doing this. I'm not going to stop supporting Afrimma. Even when I'm 60, I'll still be in Afrimma. And I want to say thank you to everybody here that came out here. Today we see over 50 people. Next year we're not gonna have, this space will never be enough. And that's what I project, and that's what I see. And thank you to everybody that is planning to support, whether you're at home or you're listening, wherever way you're listening, please support Africa, be pro-Africa, and thank you, Afrimma, for doing this. Thank you.
Okay, one more thing. Since we're in the market of selling Africa and buying Africa, I have to say this. My website, we have a music app. I know most people have Apple Music, Tidal, Spotify, but we have the Notjustok app. I'm pretty sure some of you here have it. Yeah. Thank you. So if you have an iPhone, just go to the App Store and search for Notjustok, Notjustok. We curate African music, Igbo, Yoruba, West Africa, East Africa, all of it. So right now it's free. We might charge it. Right now it's free. Just get the Notjustok app on your iPhone, and it'll be on Android in the next couple of weeks. Thank you.
Hey guys, I just wanted to say, I really wanted to just reiterate, I would love for us to have an Africa Cultural Center in the city of Dallas. We don't have it. It will take you guys' support. So if I could put something together, if you guys can say and commit to coming to a council meeting and just showing up as Africans to let them understand that it's what we need. It's strength in numbers. And Mr. Abiyagu, the man of the hour, is going to give us our last words. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Regina. Please, a round of applause for Regina. She's the African liaison person here in Dallas. I mean, she's the reason why we are here. This is Dallas Library. We're inside the library. We didn't pay a dime. She got this, everything in here, she took care of it. Please, one more round of applause, please. And like I said earlier, since the mainstream the big companies in America don't support us. We have Africans that have been behind us, African-owned companies. Access, they've been there from the get-go, from day one. They've always supported. Even when we didn't even know where we were going, they were blindly following us, and they are still with us today. So please, a big round of applause for Access, please. And then, if you're in America and you've never heard about Ping Express, you're sleeping on the bicycle. So please, if you want to send money to your folks, African-owned, they've been very supportive to what we're doing. They believe in crossing boundaries with music. Please download the app. It's on Android. It's on iPhone. If you want to send money, you don't have to go to Western Union. You don't have to go to MoneyGram. Right there, it's African-owned. You know you're supporting a brother. Please download Ping Express today. Yeah. And my brother here, Rudy, he's a businessman, and I remember the first time I met you. And this guy has been there. Every year we do an event, he comes and he supports all our rental, all the artists that are here. You're getting picked up at the airport. That's the man to thank, Rudy. I really appreciate you. And then some of our other sponsors, Cars. If I forget you, I didn't forget you on the backdrop. I'm so sorry. Right now, I think I have a whole lot on my mind. We're still going to leave here to go to a meeting to get ready for the fashion show. Please, I'm appealing to everybody. The fashion show is going to be amazing. And finally, my team. Everybody you see wearing our Afrimma t-shirt, that's not just the team. This is family. This is family. And these guys have worked tirelessly. They're not getting paid. They just believe that we're going to get somewhere one day, and they believe in me, and they believe in my passion, and they are the true heroes. I would love you guys to do. Thank you so much. So I hope I see you guys at the fashion show tomorrow. Thank you, and have a good day.